Is Valve Steam about to launch a new headset? Or are they just teasing us? Or are they releasing something else? Or are they releasing more than one thing? And I mean, the rumor has been for a long time that Steam has been working on, or Valve has been working on, the deckered. These have been rumors going around the VR community for a long time. And I mean, so long that I can't even remember when it first started. It will have been with, sadly, it's Bradley, who's a legend in the VR community, and let's face it, like everyone does look up to the guy. So, first of all, I don't want to say I know that much about everything that is true or not true. But it's going to be very interesting if they launch with some of the specs, some of the rumours that they're actually going to be launching with. Now, I don't know if they're going to be actually even launching a headset, because they might be launching a competitive, like a console version of Steam. That has also been a rumour for a long time. I know they tried it with the Steam Machine and the controller coming out at the same time, but I think it'd be really interesting if they launched something like that that also then launched with a VR headset as well, that you could use the, whatever we're calling it, Steam console, that works along with the VR headset to give it even more power. But obviously the Valve Index came out in, was it 2019? I'm just going to double check this. So 2019, I thought it was earlier than that. I honestly thought they released that headset earlier than that. And it was just a PC powered VR headset. I'm sure everyone already knows this, but I didn't realise that they did it with the headset only for $499. I don't know if this is true, but this is what VR Compare apparently is telling me. And the controllers were $749. The controllers and the headset together were $749, and with the base stations, everything, it was $999. And then the rumor is that if it is true that the deckered, or let's call it the Steam frame, is actually the VR headset, the rumor is it's going to be $1,299. Now, in my head, alarm bells start to ring, and I think that sounds quite cheap for the spec that's going around. Because, I mean, I've had numerous different things, but the FOV, for example, will be 130. It's going to have micro OLED displays. It's going to, we're going to have a refresh rate of similar to what the Index One was, which is experimental. I think was 144, which is better than what the Meta Quest 3s can offer, which I mean makes sense because it's a standalone headset. It's not a standalone headset, whereas this one, the other rumor is it's also going to be a standalone headset. So that's really interesting that they're to see what chip it's got in it, because I can't see them putting a Snapdragon chip in. Can you imagine that? Oh my god, not another one. Do we need another headset with that chip in it, or do we need someone like Valve to actually come out and launch with something like, or something even better than what's in the Steam Deck? And then that got me thinking about the Steam Deck, and the fact that obviously they launched that a few years ago now. It doesn't feel that long ago, but time flies when you're having fun. And that, when that launched, was incredibly impressive for the price it was at. So I still suspect that they did a very similar thing to what Meta do, and took a hit on the actual software itself, the hardware itself, and made it cheaper that way, just by taking the hit. Very similar to what the consoles do. And what Meta do? Meta do that. I mean, that's why they're so cheap. It's not for the fact that they've managed to create this headset that's making them money. I don't know how they're making money at the moment because are the games making money? Who knows? They're not doing a Game Pass, so they're who knows? Who knows how Meta are doing it? I just suspect they're losing a hell of a lot of money and trying to make it back with AR glasses. So Valve could be taking a hit at 1200, which sounds crazy because it sounds like they're making money from it. They might just break even, maybe, potentially, but if it's got the spec, if it's got eye tracking, if it's got everything built in, if it can run in the rumor is it's going to be able to run pcvr games. If it can run that suggests that it's probably even more powerful than the Steam Deck, because you've got to run the two displays at the same time, or you're running two versions of the game at the same time to make it work. So that's going to be interesting, because if that is the case, it's going to be one powerful beast. And I think for 12.99, that's really going to make other headsets like Play for Dream, Parmax, that are very, very focused on PCVR and fantastic headsets, they will struggle to try and compete with that. I suppose the Parmax is more at that type of range of price, but this thing's going to be standalone as well. It's really, yes, it's going to be a lot more expensive than the Meta headsets, and you're going to hear a lot of people go, oh, well, I'm not buying that. Like, you can get a Meta Quest for £300. This headset is not going to be aimed at that. But let's get into some of the rumours that are coming. The first one being that, one second, because I've lost it now, haven't I? I've lost my head. Production has started. I'm sure you probably already know this, but production has started on the so-called Steam frame. Whether that's going to be the headset or a console, who knows? But let's just pretend it's the headset. Or both. 400,000, 600,000 units are apparently going to be started mass production in the next few months, and the launch will be late 2025, which I think is optimistic. Potentially they might do a pre-order before Christmas that it will then come out after Christmas, say February, March time. I would say it's more realistic, depending on how quickly they get those production line going. Get those kids working hard. Shouldn't have said that. I do not think that is how they're all being produced. It's all machines, okay? Little AI Jimmy is going to struggle to get them all made. So, it's going to be a standalone hybrid PCVR headset. Working very similar to how the Quest works, where you're going to be able to use both. Doesn't say the operating system. I can't imagine them using Android. I think that'd be mental if they did. I suspect they'll be using Linux, and then that makes it probably easier to use PCVR games, or to port PCVR games. And they'll be using like the Proton thing, I'm assuming, very similar to how the Steam Deck works. So that's interesting, because obviously the Index did not do that, but we're getting a lot more headsets. Every headset is generally standalone now, apart from the Parmax ones. But is the super crystal whatever one. I don't really pay enough attention to them because they don't pay attention to me. No, I'm joking. I just haven't had enough experience with them. I've never used one, so and I don't have the PC to be able to run that sort of spec. I'm aiming on it. I'm trying, but I did spend £10,000 on a shed, which I'm now regretting. No, I'm not, because I'm getting to make a lot more content with you guys. Anyway, so the visual optics rumors are that it's going to have OLED. It's going to use eye tracking to do that foveated rendering stuff that they use on the PSVR 2 that a lot of people can't get used to. No, to be fair, they do it on the Play for Dream one as well. It'll just have to be impressive and it'll have to be quick to be able to do it. But it's going to have pancake lenses, which is the new standard in the higher end headsets. It's expected. I can't imagine them doing. I can't imagine them not doing that. So pancake lenses are definite, and then coupled with that, it's gonna have to be OLED. It's got to be. I think a lot of people will complain if it's not, and I think a lot of people are going to complain when it's. I don't think it'll have a display port. I think a lot of people won't like that. A lot of the old VR, pcvr obsessed people who use the Index, for example, might not like the fact that I don't think it's going to have a display port. It might do, and if it does, it will please everyone. Because that's what the majority want. That's what, whenever I put a video on about the Pico 4 Ultra or the Play for Dream or any of those, you get a lot of people saying, "Oh well, if it had had display port, I'd have got it straight away." And if they'd have improved the lenses on the Pico 4 Ultra, they'd have got it straight away. So they're two important things that I think, if they're launching a new headset, it's going to have. Now, if it's going to be standalone, it's going to need inside-out tracking, isn't it? It's not going to be. You're not going to be able to just rely on the base stations to do that. It just doesn't. It doesn't. They're going to have inside-out tracking, which then it adds more cost to it, doesn't it? But that's a different matter anyway. So display resolution, the rumor is 1440p per eye. Who knows if it's going to be more than that? With a 120 Hz refresh rate. I've heard others say that it'll be the same as what the Index was, which was 144 at maximum. Or that's what I'm led to believe anyway. And the software again, it'll be SteamOS. I can't imagine it not being. I can't imagine a world where we will have a Steam frame or a Valve Index 2 not using SteamOS. If they brought it out with Android, that would be the most shocking thing to me out of all of them. But I think people might not like the price. I think that's the general thing that people are going to complain about when it comes out. I think it might even be over the 1,200 if it's got everything that everyone wants. The controllers, the Roy controllers. Roy. Why would you call them Roy? I can't think of any good Roys. Sorry if there's anyone called Roy in the chat. My dad's called Roy. No, I'm joking. Yeah, the Roy controllers, they look very similar. Again, no rings. Very similar to all the all the controllers, but they look slightly longer in the imagery that's going around. Slightly longer, similar to what the index controllers were. Just that little bit extended. um, and that I mean that was one of the things about the controllers where they were so good. Like they were they were probably better than I don't know. Good controllers, heavy, but you know, you have to have a trade off at some point. Apart from I don't know how they did it. The Play for Dream controllers are insane because they've got built-in batteries which last quite a while. And it doesn't feel like there's a battery in them. Whereas obviously the Quest 3 controllers are they have the one battery in, so they don't weigh that much. Whereas the Pico 4 Ultra and the Pico 4 controllers have two batteries in, which means they last twice as long, but are well not twice as heavy, but like you know the batteries there's twice the weight of battery in them. So I think you have to trade off. Depends on how long the battery lasts. It depends on if they're, you know, if they're batteries that you put in them or if they're batteries built in. Who knows how that's going to work? That'll be interesting. There's so many questions. I don't know how they've managed it. I don't know how they've managed to keep it so quiet, yet everyone sort of knows. Like the Deckard's been talked about for years. So how have they kept it this quiet that no one knows about it? And no one knows if it is, you know, the rumour going around on a lot of the Steam Deck channels that I watch are suggesting it's going to be a console, not a headset. But then the rumours in the VR community have been going for so long now that I can't see it not being a VR headset. I could potentially see it being both. And I think that's where it's going to be interesting. Like I said, if they bring out a console and a headset, the only problem there is, no, because I think if you're a VR enthusiast or an enthusiast of the index, or you have an index and you've never done anything else, or you know you have an index and you've tried the others and they don't quite match what you want it to be, then I think you will buy the deckered or the Steam frame or whatever we're calling it. I think you'll buy it as well as the console. Because I just think most people will find a way if that makes sense. If you get the reference. It's life finds a way, isn't it? But you know what I mean. We'll find a way. We'll sell our I don't know. How much can I get for a kidney? Who knows? But there are a lot of the rumours. I think if you want like a proper breakdown, you need to be watching some of the OG original YouTubers. I think we're getting one in the next couple of months. I just think it's there's no smoke without fire kind of thing. There's too many things being talked about suggesting that we're going to see a Steam frame or a Steam deckered frame or Steam or I've seen people calling it a Valve Index 2. Maybe they will do that. I think they'll go for I think it'll be more linked with like the Steam Deck naming wise, nothing to do with the fact that I don't think you'll be able to play it. I don't think you'll be able to link it in any way. That would be insanely cool if that was the case, but I don't think there's any rumours that suggest that that could be the case, that we could see the Steam Deck and the Steam frame working together. I think they're more likely to bring out a console as well, like the Steam machines that we saw back in the day a long time ago. That didn't really work, but I don't think for the fact that they've had so much success with the Steam Deck, that I don't think I think they're willing to take probably more of a risk, and they probably know that it'll be successful. You know, I think the Index has sold over a million units, like, in the time it was being produced, which obviously is nowhere near the Quest. I'm not saying that. You know, the Quest has got everyone into VR, or it got a lot of people interested in VR, but the people who are really interested in VR, I think we want more. I think we want to be able to play something like Half-Life Alyx standalone, or via their console, because that would be. I think there is a place for every headset. I think the Quest 3S is a really good starting point to get young people into VR. I did a video yesterday on the fact that the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S, I don't know which one I would suggest to people, and I still think I suggest the Quest 3S, and that sort of then puts the Quest 3 in a place of, are people still buying it? Or are people more likely to buy the Quest 3S than they are the Quest 3? And is that because it's a lot cheaper and that most people are playing stuff like Gorilla Tag and Animal Company, and that actually the Quest 3 sort of has been sidelined? Because I've said it for a while now, that I think because they launched the Quest 3S, I don't know if we will see a Quest 4 that is the same standard or the same push as what we saw with the Quest 3. Because of the Quest 3S and the way that has, I think, probably made Meta reassess and think, well, people actually just want the cheap headset from us. And I think then does that launch people who have tried the Quest 3S and gone, do you know what? I'm gonna try and do pcvr. I'm gonna try it a little bit, see if it works, see if I can, see if my PC can manage it, and then they experience something like Half-Life Alyx and go, jeez, I can't believe what I've been missing. And then that launches them then to think, I want a PC VR, I want to do more PC VR. And then you start to realise, is the Quest 3 that headset that you want to go with? I don't know. Maybe it is. I think most people, when or the most, how do we put them? VR, not veterans, but you know what I mean, like the OGs, like the ones who you get obsessed with VR, and then you start going down the rabbit hole of not just having one headset, you have 2 and 3 and so on and so on, and your life just revolves around virtual reality, and you end up making a channel about it, or pivoting your channel around it, or whatever, I think the Steam the Steam frame is the VR enthusiasts step up to where you want to actually be. And I think it'll be really interesting to see. I hope the rumours are true. I really do. I hope that we see something in the next couple of weeks. I think it's got to be next couple of weeks, not just months. I think if we go past October and we haven't seen anything announced, that Christmas is going to be a push. I don't think they'll get headsets out for that time. I think it'll probably be more like a pre-launch before Christmas, which I think will suit most VR enthusiasts. Or I think most VR enthusiasts will be fine, as because I think will buy it anyway. So I can't imagine it coming out before Christmas, but you never know. The pre-order might be like what the Steam Deck was, which was I think was 2 weeks. So if they launch a pre-order before the end of October, which is 2 weeks, 2 weeks and a bit away, we'll see. We might see it before Christmas, or it might be more like I still suspect it's going to be more like February, March time that that people start actually getting their hands on it, and I can't wait. I don't know how to save up, but to support the channel, I would really appreciate if you guys can like the video and subscribe, and just generally try and get more eyes on the content I'm making, because I want to keep doing this, and I certainly want to keep doing the live streams, certainly want to keep making more content, and I need to be able to actually afford to do that, and things are getting tight because of sheds. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully if we do a few more on these, that we'll start to see some more news in the next, like I say, in the next couple of weeks. We might start to see more news than we're already seeing. So if you want, I'm going to try and keep up to date as soon as I see something, I'll go live with it to get the news to you guys. So subscribe if you want to see it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. And as always, an awkward bit where you have to press end and then end again. So thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Goodbye.